I was just looking at an article that said there's this woman who disappeared back in the 60s, and then she was found just recently, 63 years later. Turns out she was just fine the whole time. She just headed out, got tired of what was going on, and started herself a brand new life somewhere. And, it was nobody's business. It was just her business. And she headed off, and I guess her life was just fine, And isn't it interesting how there's so much desire on the part of people to kind of know what's going on in your life? If you're on social media, I'm sure you know about this. People are just always curious. They want to know, what are you doing? What's going on? What did you do this weekend? But they don't really care. I mean, they're not going to be there for you. They're not really invested in your well-being. They're just there to gossip about what's going on. And that gets old sometimes because they're not really doing you any favor. They're just there to get the scoop on what's going on. Facebook stalkers, they just want to know. They want to know what's going on, but they're never really going to be there when you need them. You probably never would need them. It's just they have no real invested interest other than snooping around. And sometimes I think it's nice to just walk away. So you know what? Other people's ability to use my life as their entertainment is something that I don't really need to opt into. Just head out. Pick a spot on the map. Go somewhere new. Would it be the end of the world if you just walked away? There's certainly valid cause to say we should have a sense of fidelity in our life. We shouldn't always just be running from our problems. I get that. But I also think sometimes that we're so busy convincing ourselves of the reason why it wouldn't make sense for us to venture out that we never have any real adventures. Because people always say, well, you can't go. They always wager that you wouldn't, Like you wouldn't quit your job when you have stock options, right? Like you wouldn't walk away from all of your old relationships and all of the things that brought security and safety into your life for the sake of something that offers no assurances at all. Like you wouldn't dare do that, would you? But what happens if you do? What happens if you were that 20-year-old person who just decided it's time to venture out and go start something new? See what the path ahead holds for you. And don't let anyone else's expectations define your journey. Make your adventure completely, wholly, entirely your own. I started putting money into cryptocurrency 2 or 3 years ago. And the reason I did that is because I had buddies who were doing it, and they were all into it. That was the thing. Well, one day I stopped, sold all of it, decided I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm done. I'm not going to mess with the cryptocurrency. And why? Well, this isn't really about whether crypto is good or bad. That's not what this video is about. The point is, the whole reason I was doing it is because those guys were doing it. And so I was just kind of jumping onto the bandwagon. And there's so many cases in life like that where we just kind of jumped on the bandwagon. We're defined by other people's expectations of who we ought to be. And it's not so much that whatever it is that we are doing is wrong. It's just, it wasn't our idea. It wasn't our journey. We were participating in someone else's adventure and letting them convince us that it was our own, and it really wasn't. And I think to myself, like now in my mid-30s, I think about starting over, and starting over doesn't seem like a terrible idea at all. It seems like maybe even a necessity. And so I totally am in a place in my life where I'd be willing to walk away from everything to start something new, if the right something comes along. And I think to myself about how time is so important, because I have time now, assuming that I'm going to live for quite a while and, you know, retire in my 60s, which hopefully that's how it all goes. I don't know, but I have no reason to believe that's not how it'll go. So if all goes well according to plan, then I have time. But I don't have as much time as I would have had when I was 18 or 20. So I look back on what I probably would have told my younger self back then. And, you know, I would have told my younger self, don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the expectations. Don't worry about that whole sense of you're going to lose more than you can bear if you walk away. Because the truth is, what people don't want you to know is how much time matters. How much value your time has. And they want to convince you that, you know, everything matters except your time. And they'll convince you to stay and wait for that time, which will be more convenient, and then that time never comes. And then you always wonder, you know, what would it have been like if I found that new place somewhere and walked away from all of those old things? And what would it be like if I could just know that the choices I made in my life were actually my choices, not that I just continued the chapter someone else started to write? Those are the kinds of things that you'll ask yourself. You'll never really know the answer, though. Because if you never venture out, well, it's always just hypothetical. Maybe things could have turned out differently if I would have had the courage to see what it's like to walk out the door and just keep on going, never come back. It is an interesting thing to think about, isn't it? But I think social media does us a bit of an injustice, because it gives us a sense of a false connection. It gives us a sense that we're part of something. It gives us a sense that we have some obligation to a collective, that we are in this together. You know, I think community is one of the most overused words in our vernacular these days. Everything is all about the community. I'm a member of the gaming community. I'm a member of the crypto community. I'm a member of whatever community it is we are talking about. The general idea being that all of the people who share a certain worldview or similar hobbies or something are all part of a particular community. And that's true. That's pretty cool. But what really constitutes community if the people in your community don't have any vested interest in you? If they don't care if you live or die, they don't know even that you exist, are they really your community? But sometimes we can start to have that attitude, that feeling, we can't let down our community, but that community isn't actually there for us. That community is not really even aware that we exist as individuals, and yet we feel some sort of a perhaps misplaced obligation to prove ourselves, to do our part as part of the community, hypothetically. Community is great, but it should be a two-way street where we give and take, where the community is there for us and we are there for them. It should be something that we truly opted into, not something that we just happened to be part of because we didn't opt out. There's a lot of things like that in life where if you do nothing, you just wind up inheriting all of this stuff, baggage, if you will. But then it feels like some sort of a betrayal to put the subscriptions on pause. The truth is, Amazon or Netflix or RuneScape doesn't care if you pause your subscription. You're not betraying some sort of a sacred trust if you opt out of something. So I guess the point is, always ask the question, what is right for you? And don't focus so much on worrying about whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing for your hypothetical community. Be willing to be part of something greater than yourself, but always make sure that the story you're writing is actually yours and not just someone else's agenda, which they have projected onto you so much and so long that you have forgot how to actually determine your own destiny. And if you are going to venture out, if you are going to do something different with your life, remember that time is more important than money. You can always find more money if you're lucky, but you'll never find more time. So, just like the time which is best for planting a tree, well, the best time is 20 years ago, but the second best time is today. So, if you're going to start a new adventure, let that begin now. As always, good luck on yours. Till next time, thanks so much for watching.